Welcome back, everyone, to Graceful Alliance, the podcast where we bridge the gap between faith and mental health, helping pastors, leaders, and ministries embed emotional and spiritual wellness into their churches. I'm your host, Dakeisha, and today we're diving into a topic that is essential for the health of both the church and its people: the power of unity. Now, we talk a lot about mental health in the church, but one of the biggest barriers to healing, both spiritually and emotionally, is division. Whether it's division among leadership, division between generations, or even the personal isolation many believers experience. The lack of unity weakens the body of Christ and affects mental health well-being. So today, we're going to unpack 3 things. 1, what unity really means in a church setting. 2, how division impacts mental and spiritual health. And 3, practical ways to strengthen unity while supporting emotional well-being. Unity isn't about everyone agreeing on everything. It's about standing together despite differences, under the common goal of advancing the kingdom and caring for God's people. The early church modeled this in Acts chapter 2, verses 42 to 47. They broke bread together, met each other's needs, and grew in faith together. That unity made room for God to move in powerful ways. But let's be real, many churches today struggle with division. It can be culturally, generational, or even based on ministry style. Some churches experience leadership conflicts that create tension. Others struggle to connect to older and younger generations in worship. And for some, there's an unspoken division between those who are deeply involved and those who are on the fringe, barely holding on. These fractures don't just affect church growth, they affect individual mental health. A divided church creates an unsafe emotional and spiritual environment. People feel disconnected, unseen, or even rejected. And that can lead to increased anxiety, depression, and burnout, not just for the congregation, but for the pastors and the leaders too. And isolation is one of the enemy's greatest weapons. It's one of his greatest weapons. When people don't feel like they belong, they stop showing up. They pull away from the community, which makes it easier for disencouragement to take root. And for those in leadership, division can be exhausting, leading to compassion fatigue, resentment, and even questioning their own calling. As a mental health professional, I've worked with pastors who feel like they have to hold everything together, but have no safe space to talk about their struggles. I've counseled members who have walked away from the church because they didn't feel accepted or supported. Unity isn't just a nice concept. It's a mental health strategy for a thriving, emotionally healthy church. All right, so how do we move from division to unity in a way that strengthens both spiritual and mental well-being? 1, let's cultivate safe spaces for vulnerability. Unity just isn't about working together. It's about being honest with one another. Pastors and leaders need a safe space where they can talk about openly their own struggles without fear or judgment. Likewise, members need to feel that their mental health concerns are heard and supported within the church. We could consider hosting confidential support groups or pastoral peer check-ins where leaders can share and encourage one another. 2, address church hurt and misunderstandings. One of the biggest barriers to unity is unresolved conflict. Churches are made up of people, and people get hurt. Whether it's leadership, disagreements, personal betrayals, or even feeling overlooked, unspoken wounds create deep divides. So teach healthy conflict resolution from the pulpit. Encourage forgiveness and reconciliation while also acknowledging the reality of pain. Sometimes unity requires therapy and meditation. 3. Bridge the generational gap. One of the most common forms of division in the church is between older and younger generations. The younger generation craves authenticity and mental health awareness, while older generations value tradition and spiritual discipline. Instead of seeing these as competing values, find ways to merge them. Maybe that means having intergenerational prayer groups, youth-led services with mentorship from elders, or simply open conversations where both sides listen. Number 4, make mental health a church-wide conversation. Unity grows when people feel safe, seen, and valued. That means normalizing conversations about mental health from the pulpit, in Bible studies, and in leadership meetings. If you're a pastor or a leader, don't be afraid to talk about mental health in sermons. Share testimonies of how faith and therapy can work together. Consider bringing in mental health professionals, maybe even hosting a church-wide mental health Sunday. Church unity isn't about pretending we're all the same. It's about walking together, embracing differences, and supporting each other's spiritual and emotional health. When a church is united, people feel safe to heal. They feel seen, heard, and empowered to grow in faith. So as you go back to your churches, ask yourself, are we creating safe spaces for mental and emotional support? Are we addressing division in a healthy, God-honoring way? And how can we make mental health part of our unity strategy? If you're a leader struggling with division in your church, or you need guidance on embedding mental health into your ministry, let's connect. Visit me at gracefulalliance.org or reach out on my email. I love to help your church take the next step towards unity and emotional wellness. Thank you for tuning in to Graceful Alliance. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with a fellow pastor or leader, and join the conversation online. Let's build churches where people can heal, grow, and thrive together. Until next time, stay encouraged and stay connected.